So I have no shame and peace. Oh, whoops. Whoa.
Hey guys, and welcome to the Happy Knitting Podcast. My name is Julia and I'm coming to you from Germany. Today is the 12th of October 2016. I'm so glad that you're joining me today as I talk about some knitting and yarn and all the things we love. So if you haven't watched this before, then welcome. I hope that you like it and maybe you will become a regular viewer. And if you're coming back every week, thank you ever so much. I really appreciate that. So today I'm recording a day late because somehow I've just been really busy and I haven't been feeling that great. I hope you can't hear it in my voice, but I have had a cold and I'm a little bit sniffly. I haven't been really sick. It's just that I've been well for a day and then feeling crappy for a day, and that's just kind of been going on for about 2 weeks now, which is getting really annoying. I'd rather get sick once and then be healthy than have this back and forth. But anyways, I hope that you guys don't mind. And yeah, let's talk about some knitting. Today I have some finished objects, works in progress, acquisitions, and then life in general, in which I will also talk about the yarn festival that I went to last weekend. Regarding the knit-alongs that have just ended, one winner of a physical prize, which is a skein of yarn of the Treat Yourself cow, has still not gotten in touch with me. So if you did take part and entered a finished object, please watch last week's episode. I will give you another week to claim your prize, and if not, I will redraw simply because I'm going away in a couple of weeks and I can't have the prize laying around here forever, and if I wait too long with the redrawing, I might be on holiday and then I can't send it off and everything just gets too complicated. So please make sure you watch last week's episode if you haven't done so already. I announced the winners right in the beginning of the podcast. I don't really want to message winners because I feel like if you're taking part in knit-along, I expect you to watch the episode on which the prizes are announced. I know that life can be busy sometimes, but I really want the prizes to go to someone who actually regularly watches the podcast. So yeah, that's that. Why don't I just tell you where you can find me so I don't have to do that later? So we have a Ravelry group called the Happy Knitting Podcast Group, and that's where I post the show notes. So anything I talk about here, I will always link in the show notes, so you can find it there. And that's usually the easiest way to find information. If you don't understand something, just check the show notes. We also have an introductions thread and a shameless self-promotion thread. If you're a maker, you can always post something there, and if you're interested in being enabled, it's a really fun place. You can ask me questions, and yeah, there's just a lot of fun threads going on. You can find me on Ravelry as Wipfi, which is WUEPFI. And sorry, my Instagram is the Happy Knitting Podcast. So all that should be relatively easy to find. And I'm having some jasmine green tea today, which I absolutely love. It's one of my favorites, and it's in my Berlin mug. Oh, and by the way, we have started to dry our washing inside. We usually dry it on our balcony, but obviously it's been really freezing. So very unglamorously, you can see some shirts drying in the back of my office/craft room, so I hope you don't mind that. So let's talk about some knitting. I have 3 finished objects this week, which is kind of insane because I didn't think I would have any at all. So first of all, of course, I finished a pair of socks. These are very special socks. These are my first Hedgehog Fibers that I've knit with. It's Hedgehog Fibers sock in the Boombox colorway. And here they are, both of them. They're plain vanilla socks. You can see the stitch marker here is where I was last week, so I finished the leg, put in a fish lips kiss heel, and finished the foot. And I love the stitch marker, it's so cute. It's from Barbara of Knitting I Love. And I think it's adorable. And I think the colors are really amazing. I absolutely love this yarn. Here you can see my somewhat crooked fish lips kiss heel. I think I did 80 stitches on the leg, 20 rows of 2x2 rib. And I've been starting to also count my stitches on my feet, because rather than measuring them every time, I feel like there must be an easier way. So apparently I usually knit about 72 rounds before I start my toe, in case you wanted to know that. So I'm measuring with my next couple of pairs to see if that's sort of like a standard thing or if that changes depending on the yarn and the row gauge. And if it doesn't change, then I'll always be doing that because that fits me really well. Anyways, I knit these on 2.25 millimeter needles, which is a US size 1. And I'm so happy to have these. I can't wait to wear them. They're super lovely and I love the yarn, and I totally understand why everyone loves hedgehog fibers because it really is amazing, and this was a real treat for me to knit with. So that's my first finished object. Next, I finished my sister's birthday present. So Pauline, if you're watching, please stop watching, but I don't think she is. She's way too busy. Ends are not woven in, but this is the Shaylin shawl that I knit for her. She picked the yarn when she was here a couple of weeks, or actually a couple of months ago. We went through my stash and she fell in love with this skein of yarn. And this is the Shaylin pattern, which is a shawl pattern by Laila Rabe. I will link it in the show notes. And yes, this yarn is not ideal for a shawl, but she really wanted this variegated yarn to be a shawl, so I just went with it. But you can see it is actually quite large. I'm not going to put it on. I think it's a perfect size for her. I used pretty much all of the yarn. And if I give you a close-up, you should be able to see the lace, hopefully. So there's like stockinette parts and then lace parts, and this is a super easy pattern. So if you're a beginner and you want a shawl, I think this would be a really great first lace shawl because I think the lace is only like 3 rows. So yeah, this is really simple. I've knit this 2 times now and I just really like this pattern. And the yarn that I used is Lalbear, which is a British firm, I believe, in their 100% BFL base. I think it's called Bounce. And the colorway is Little Red Rooster. And I don't really love BFL, but I must say that now after blocking, this has a really, really nice drape to it. I'm very surprised at how much I'm liking this now. I knit this on 3.5 millimeter needles, which is a step down from the pattern. I think the pattern is written for sport weight maybe. And I think you're supposed to do only 4 lace repeats, but I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 standard lace repeats, and then the last one, to prevent any rolling, I did kind of like a garter lace. So I knit the lace pattern as it is, but I knit all the wrong side rows. So I think it looks pretty much the same, but that just means that there's no rolling because I hate shawls that roll. I absolutely hate those. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with this. I hope my sister will like it. Her birthday is on November 2nd, so it's coming up soon, and yeah. I think I've never knit her a shawl, so that'll be a first. Actually, I've knit her a 3-color cashmere cowl a couple of years ago, but this is her first real shawl. And I think I said that I knit this on 3.5 millimeter needles, which is a US size 4. Then my last finished object I'm really happy about is my shawl design. So I have been kind of showing it to you for a couple of weeks, and I finally got down to writing up a pattern, which was a lot of work, to be honest, because it's a brioche pattern, and I feel like I'm generally not that great at writing patterns, and then brioche just makes it so difficult. Like the pattern itself, what you're doing is quite simple, but it still came out with a lot of pages and a lot of writing the pattern. But anyways, I finished it, and then I didn't like it, and I was kind of doubting it, but after blocking it, I really do like it, so I'm just going to show it to you now. The working title for this, and probably the final name, is Brioche with a Twist, because that's exactly what it is. It's a brioche shawl with a twist. So it's a sort of triangular shape, and then as you can see at the bottom, the twist kind of turns into a triple twist, which is what I've just called it. And I have not done a very thorough blocking job, as you can probably see. I was very eager to just get this off the needles, and then I blocked it, and this definitely needs some re-blocking, but it's a triangular shawl. It is huge. It's written for 2 skeins of fingering weight yarn, but I only used about 70 grams of each skein, so I could have made this a lot bigger, and you can, because the pattern is very customizable. But even with just 70 grams of each yarns, this is exactly my wingspan. It's 170 centimeters, maybe even a little more, now that I'm stretching it out. So I think this turns into a big shawl pretty quickly. So this is the front side, and then the back looks like this, which I think looks also really, really interesting. I do know that the pattern will come out more if you use two more solid yarns, but yeah, I'm quite happy with this now, and it has gone out to test knitters yesterday, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to publish this before my holiday. Probably not, but sometimes in November this should be out. And just to give you a close-up of the yarns look together, I think they look together, they're quite nice together. This shawl really needed a good blocking to get into the shape that I wanted it to be, but it's still quite squishy and soft, and that's also part of the yarns that I used. So I used, my contrast color is Cascade Heritage in the solids, which is a really soft sort of fingering weight yarn. I really quite like this as a base yarn sort of, or like if you're combining a sort of speckled or variegated yarn with a solid color. I think Cascade Heritage has quite a few nice colors. And then the yarn that I wanted to showcase is this one. This is from Knitting in France on Etsy, who I've talked about before. She donated this yarn to let me try it because I was raving on about the Tosh Merino Light, which I absolutely love, and this is quite a similar base. I think it's new in our shop, and I absolutely love working with it. It does very much remind me of Tosh Merino Light, and the dye job that she did is amazing. I love how it's sort of like speckled, and I'm shaking. It is super soft, and the resulting shawl has to be the softest like brioche project that I've ever knit. It is just super soft and squishy, and I'm really happy with it, which surprises me because I kind of was close to just throwing it all away and just, yeah, I completely hated it in the beginning, and I completely didn't expect that at all. But yeah, this is done. I used 3.5mm needles, US size 4, and like I said, I will definitely let you know once I publish this, but I'm not quite sure how it will go. If my testers don't have many problems, I might just be able to publish it before I go away, but probably not. So yeah, that's that. I can't stop showing it to you because I'm actually quite proud of it. And the one thing I always said was I was never going to write a brioche pattern because that's just too complicated, and that's exactly what I did. So that's quite funny. Yeah, so that's my brioche with a twist shawl, and that's it for my finished objects, which was quite a lot, I think. Obviously, I've had a lot of knitting time, and also the weather has been super cold and rainy, so it's been just the perfect time to knit. Oh, regarding my brioche with a twist, I also knit up a swatch, and partly that is because last week I asked you guys if you have any suggestions for people who can't, who find wool scratchy and who are allergic to wool. And someone said that you can use some superwash wools are better for people who are allergic to wool. So I had this yarn left over from, I think I did a sweater in this one, and this is Drops Cotton Merino, and this is one of the Drops 100% Merino yarns. I'm not sure if it's a baby merino or they have a couple of merino ones. This one I use for a dotted wraith shawl by Stephen West. So I decided to knit up a swatch to send it to her or give it to her when I see her next, and to see if she finds these scratchy. And I actually knit up a sample of my brioche shawl just to kind of test the pattern. So I quite like how this turned out. And you can see how it looks completely different with two solid yarns. So I'm just going to bind that off probably today, and then I'll give it to my mom whenever I see her next. But I thought that was quite fun, and I also now I kind of want to keep it because it's so nice and squishy. But yeah, that's something I did on the side. Nothing super special to write home about. Let's go into some works in progress. And last week I didn't show you my blanket, so I decided to show it to you this week. Like I said last week, a couple of weeks ago, it's getting quite large. I'm not ready to finish it, but I think I'm going to finish it relatively soon because this is perfect to snuggle up under on the couch, and that's exactly what I want it to be. I don't want it to be on the bed or anything. The other day, actually, I was sitting on the couch and I was freezing, and I didn't want to get up to get another sweater or something, and this was just lying around, and I just cuddled up with it, and yeah, I absolutely love it. And because I'm using sock yarn and size 0 needles, which is a US size 2, these little squares are quite dense, which means that they are super warm. So where did I actually put in my squares? I squared it off again, I think. Yeah, I squared it off, so I have 12 by 13 squares, and I can't find it. Oh, here we go. So since I last showed it to you, hang on, is this focused? I knit this square, which is a next yarn, which I got in a swap. This, you might remember, is the hedgerow yarns in the Twinkly Toes base, which I used for my first brioche shawl. This, I believe, is just a Regia or Opal or something like that, I'm not quite sure. This one I used to knit my boyfriend's socks. This is from Frau Odersocke on Lavanda. Again, this is the second color I used in my brioche shawl, in my Le Moelleux, or the Squishy shawl by Mina Philipp. This is Wolkenschaft with a German indie dyer in her 100% merino. This is another mini I got in a spot. This is Serta Heart and Soul. And this is Knitpicks Felici I used to knit my first pair of Felici socks. This was in the Balloon Ride colorway, I believe. So I only got the pink, red, and yellow, but it also has like the super cute light blue. So I might knit a second square out of this one, I'm not quite sure. So that's what I've done this week. I've really enjoyed working on my blanket, and all the details on how I'm working my blanket are on my are on my project page on Ravelry. So I try to keep that updated because I don't use one specific recipe. I kind of combined a few different techniques. So yeah, so that's that. There we go. Next, I have so many works in progress. I'm kind of, oh no, and I'm missing one. I show you the ones that I have here first, but I just realized I left one in my bag. So in my awesome Mickey Mouse or Minnie Mouse bag, I think both of them are on here. But what do I have in here? I'm kind of getting confused with my own projects these days. Oh yeah, I have a new cast on. You haven't seen this before, and this kind of goes into acquisitions as well. I got myself a crazy amount of opal yarn. And Elisa, if you're watching, please look away now because you might see this again at Christmas. So I go more into the other skeins that I got later, but I got this one, which was one that out of the ones that I ordered, this was the one I was looking forward to the most. This is Opal or Opal. This is one of their Hundertwasser colorways, which are made after paintings. And I absolutely love the name of it. This one is called Imagine Tomorrow's World. And this is the painting that it's supposed to resemble. So this is just a normal sock yarn, and it's funny because I knit one pair of socks with a sock yarn before and I found it quite scratchy, and I find that this one is a lot softer, so I'm not sure, maybe they just have different lots or something, but these socks are coming out a lot nicer than the ones I knit in September, I believe. So yeah, like I said, Imagine Tomorrow's World, and these are for my sister, for my youngest sister, and I have a hoe. So usually both of them really want short socks, but she said she wants some that are a little bit longer. So that's what I've done. Usually I knit my calves over 80 rounds plus the ribbing, but for these ones I did 15 rounds of 2x2 rib, and then I believe 40, something like that, 40 or 50 rows of stockinette. And yeah, I really love how this came out. I think it's super, super cute. I actually cast on 64 stitches because I didn't know if they were going to be for her or for me. And then after 20 rows I decreased down to 60 stitches, which are more her stitch count. And I, for the first time, used the heel that I talked about last week, which I believe is called the Kiss the Partridge heel by Shauna Wood. Oh, I hope she's called Shauna Wood. I'm so bad. Somehow I can't remember the name of the heel. I can't remember the name of the designer. But it's a new pattern on Ravelry, and I will link it again in the show notes. And it's a short row heel that has the sort of partridge stitch, which makes a really nice sort of fabric and is often used in heel flap and gusset heels. So I got the pattern as a gift, but I think it's quite affordable. So if you're looking for a heel pattern, I think this might be a really nice one. And as you can see, it looks really, really beautiful, and it is super, super squishy. It is smaller than a normal heel, but I think it is quite stretchy. I'm kind of kicking myself for trying this heel on a pair that's not for me, so I can't try them on unless I want to stretch out my sister's socks. But yeah, it's super thick, which sounds really great because I feel like this would be so durable And if you have someone in your family that's always wearing holes in their socks, I think this would be a good way. The pattern was super, super clear and easy to understand, which was great. And the only reason why I haven't knit the second heel, or why I haven't made as much progress as I wanted, was because I was traveling a lot, or I was just out and about a lot lately, and I need the pattern to look at this one. But anyways, I really, really like it. I think it came out quite nicely. And yeah, I absolutely love this little sock. I think it's so cute. And because my sister has smaller feet and because they have such a short cuff, this one went super fast. So I have cast on for the second one. And I'm knitting these on DPNs. Don't ask me why, I just felt like knitting on DPNs and I quite enjoyed it. So this is how much I've done on the second one, and as you can see, they should completely match, which I'm super happy about. I'm not always particular about matching socks, but these ones, they have quite a long sort of pattern repeat, so I thought that would be nice to match. And because I'm never gonna use up all of the yarn anyways, because these won't use very much yarn at all, I just wound off a little bit and got them to match. So I'm using 2.25 millimeter higher DPNs on this one, and they're actually super sharp. All of the higher sharps are obviously sharp, but yesterday for the first time in ages I actually managed to cut myself on the finger once again. But I still absolutely love these, and like I said, the yarn is surprisingly soft. It feels completely different with a pair of Opal socks I knit out of the same base like 2 months ago. But yeah, so I'm really enjoying these. And I can definitely recommend the Kiss the Partridge heel. And I hope I didn't say that wrong. So that's my first work in progress. Next, I have all these new projects that you guys don't know. This is also part of acquisitions, but at the yarn festival, Kai picked up a skein of yarn that he wanted a hat in. And it's really, really funny because he only has one hat that I knit him, and it's not a very nice hat, to be honest, either. But he always talks about all his hats that he has, and he doesn't really actually do it. And I bought a sort of full grey hat from H&M a couple of years ago, back before I was knitting. And it's so funny because he always runs around looking for his hat, and he completely believes that A, I knit this for him, and B, it's his. And the truth is, it's just a very cheap H&M sort of hat, which I'm trying to reclaim for myself. So anyways, I'm knitting my new hat, so maybe I can have my hat back. And I got this yarn at the yarn festival. The shop is called Beauty Wool, but I looked online. They don't have an online shop. I think she has a brick and mortar store where you can buy her hand-dyed yarn, but she doesn't sell online. But this is her logo. And of course, Kai is such a yarn snob. He picked something quite nice. He picked a yarn which is 65% virgin wool, 35% silk, and this is a fingering weight yarn, and it doesn't have a colorway name, but it's a sort of like bluish gray, which I really, really like. So sorry, my phone rang and then all sorts of things happened, but I'm back. I was talking about Kai's hat that I'm knitting for him, and I decided to cast on a sock hat. Well, first of all, I really wanted to knit one of those really adorable, like nice cabled hats, because I think there's lots of nice cabled hat patterns out there, but Kai, as he is, he wanted a vanilla hat, and he wanted just stockinette and no patterning at all, so in the end I caved. And as I said, this yarn was fingering weight. I would have liked for him to have sort of like a worsted weight or something for his hat, because first of all it goes faster, and second I think it would be warmer, but he really wanted this yarn. So I did cast on a socket hat, and yeah, it was a bit complicated because first of all you need a 3mm needle, I believe, for the socket hat, and I had 2.25 or 3.5 because my dear sisters keep on stealing all of my needles. They keep on starting projects when I'm here, when they're here, and then of course they take the needles with them, and then I never see them again. So that's where my 3mm needle went. And Kai really wanted this hat right now. I was like, oh well, it's a Saturday night. Why don't I order needles or we can get them on Monday? No, it has to happen right now. So in the end, I decided to go with the smaller needles because I do really want the hat to be warm and have a nice tight gauge. So I went with 2.25mm needles, and the pattern, which is a free pattern, so I'm not giving anything away, I think it says to cast on 144 stitches. So since I was using way smaller needles, I cast on 152, and it was way too large. So this time I cast on 136, which is a lot smaller than, or it's quite a bit smaller, and super, super astounding since I'm using smaller needles. But this time the hat fits. I really didn't understand that, and usually my gauge is pretty good, and I knit quite tight. So I was wondering if maybe this yarn was mislabeled, maybe this is not a fingering weight, maybe this doesn't have 400 meters, but I believe it's just a bit more plump, so maybe that's why. So anyways, I did use 136 stitches, and what I did to make the hat a little bit warmer is I did a double brim. So I knit the ribbing at least twice as long, probably a bit more, because it goes around the corner at the bottom, and then secured it so the brim is now double layered, which makes it really, really warm. And I also really like how polished and finished it looks. I love the look of it as compared to a normal sort of ribbing cast on. So this is basically just a tube of ribbing, and it's super warm and it fits super well. I like hats as well as socks to have sort of a lot of negative ease, because I think a too tight hat will always loosen up, but if it's too loose, then it's not going to be nice. And as you can see, now I'm just knitting in stockinette. I actually enjoyed the ribbing a lot more. I know that most people hate knitting ribbing, but I don't mind knitting ribbing, and now that it's onto the stockinette, I'm just bored out of my mind. So now, yeah, I kind of knit on this pretty much non-stop for 2 days. We're watching a movie at night, and I was just speeding through it, and now I've kind of lost steam. But I've attached a little, this is one of the cupcake stitch markers that I got in a prize from Lynn of the Sunshine and Bubblegum podcast. And I think the stitch marker is from Knitty by Nature. So I put something on there to kind of keep me happy. But anyways, this is the Kyle's sockhead hat. I've named it Kyle's snobby sockhead hat on Ravelry, because he's such a yarn snob, and the yarn is knitting up really nicely. It has silk content, so it's a really nice, luxurious feel. Even though it took me a while to get used to it. In the beginning, it felt too much like a superwash sort of yarn to me, like a little too plasticky. But now I really like it, and I think it's going to wear really nicely. So that's Kai's hat, and I have no idea where to put things anymore. I have so much stuff in my desk, and it's all for the podcast. Then I got the project that I wanted to show you and had still left in my bag. And somehow this is not opening. What's wrong? Oh. I'm not smart enough for drawing bags, apparently. In here are my muted rainbow socks, as I call them. Sorry. And these I showed you last week. And somehow everything is in a big mess, which is what usually happens when I take things with me. So, the yarn that I'm using for my muted rainbow socks, which is for myself. It's a selfish knitting for myself. This is a German indie dyed yarn from Ponderosa Wolle. I've used this yarn before and I really like it. This is a luxury sock base, which is a merino, 80% merino, 20% polyamide. Fingering weight yarn, and the colorway is called Lustige Witwe. So, sorry, I'm cautious of the camera today. So I finished the first sock. I have a hoe. This is, like I said, a sock for me. It's just a plain vanilla sock, because that just worked the best with the variegated yarn. And as you can see, it's strapping up really, really nicely. This one, I did my usual recipe, so I did 2x2 ribbing, stockinette sock, fish lips heel, and then you can see the stitch marker is where I was last week, so I finished the foot. And with this pair, I really had second sock syndrome. I don't know why. I love the yarn, but I didn't really enjoy knitting with it that much, at least after a while. I have no idea why. But I kind of forced myself to cast on the second one, because I really don't want them to start hibernating. And then actually I got through the leg pretty quickly, so why is it such a mess? I have now knit the leg of the second one, and I have just done the fish lips heel. So I just need to knit the foot, and then I'm done. I'm really looking forward to wearing these, because this sock yarn is another one of those really plump, thick sort of sock yarns, which I really like. So I think these are going to be great for winter. Again, using 2.25mm US size 1 higher sharps. I'm always using the same needles because I just like them so much. I should have mentioned on the hat I'm using 2.25mm as I said, and for those ones I'm magic looping it with the 2.25 Knit Pro Nova circulars. But yeah, so that's my selfish pair of sock knitting, and I'll be happy to cast these off because I just really want to wear them. I think this has become more of a product knit, which is not usually what I do. I'm very much a process knitter through and through. And then lastly, I cast on a project last night. It was really funny because I met up with a knitting friend yesterday, which was super lovely. And we were talking about mitts and fingerless mitts, and I've never knit either because I just don't really like knitting, or I don't think I would like knitting it, and I don't really see the point because I know I would lose them within a day, and at the moment, I don't have to like ride my bike to work or anything like that, so I haven't really felt the need. I just never really was attracted to knitting fingerless mittens. But as soon as the cold hit, which has only been like a week, I've noticed that my skin gets really cracked open and hurts, and I'm using like hand cream on it. I just have really sensitive skin. So considering that, it just made sense, and we were talking about maybe I should cast on some mittens. So last night I did, and yeah, I'm kind of crazy like that, but I finished the first one already. So I was looking for fingerless mittens on Ravelry, and I just wanted a really sort of like plain vanilla recipe for fingering weight yarn, as I said, and I didn't really find anything 100% what I was looking for, so I decided to just make up my own pattern, which could have gone terribly wrong, but it actually went really well. So I finished my first mitten, and I will just put it on. So it's not super long, but I just wanted to create sort of like a recipe for myself, and then if I make some that fit me, I can always, you can put ribbing on it, you could put cables on it, you could do whatever you want with it. So I just I cast on 60 stitches, did 2x2 rib for 15 rows, and I think then what I did is I just did the gusset for the thumb in reverse stockinette. And yeah, this is exactly what I wanted. I'm super happy with it. They fit me quite nicely. I think next time I might do maybe 4 stitches less. But I'm super happy with how they turned out. I might just put it up on Ravelry if you guys are interested in this recipe. I will write it, if I do, just in sort of like a recipe form, so you can make it your own and customize it. It won't be like a fully sized pattern, but I'm happy to write it up if you guys are interested. But if you say there are enough mitten patterns out there, that's fine as well. But yeah, this just flew off my needle last night. We were watching, I think, 2 episodes of Dr. House, and I was done. So yeah, I also knit this on 2.25mm needles. Everything I knit at the moment is on 2.25 on fingering weight. As you can see, I did a very stretchy bind off because I think there's nothing worse than having like a restricted sort of cuff here, but it doesn't look super nice, so I might try a different bind off to see if I find one that looks nicer. But once I put it on, it's perfect, and I think I might actually wear these while knitting as well, because that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted something that gives me enough space to kind of move around and do everything I want to do. So I'm really happy with this. I cast on the second one as well, but as you can see, I've done like 3 rows of the ribbing. And this yarn is a mystery yarn. I picked this up at a local yarn store in my hometown. It was super cheap, and all it said was sock yarn, 400 meters per 100 grams, and this has nylon in it. But it's just really beautiful. It has some kind of halo. Not sure if you'll be able to see that. Come on. I wish I could tell you what it was because I really quite like it. Because it's a little bit fuzzy, I'm glad I'm using it for mitts rather than socks, because I think it might not be the most sturdy sock yarn, but it's very soft and obviously very much my color. And I just wanted to use something like simple and not too fancy for my first pair, and because I didn't want to use any of my super nice yarn in case it totally failed. But yeah, I'm really happy how it turned out. So I think I might knit the second one pretty soon so I can just wear them. Come on, focus. And I think that's it for my works in progress. Like I said, I didn't expect to have anything finished this week, and then somehow I just made lots of progress and lots of things, which is good. I'm kind of nervous about my microphone today. I'm always nervous about that. So let's talk about acquisitions. I have some non-Yarn Festival acquisitions first, so I'll show that to you first, and then I think the Yarn Festival stuff I'll go through as I talk about the festival and life in general. So just to give you an idea, I kind of went crazy on sock yarn. I mentioned this last week. I did a huge Opal order because I've only ever knit with it twice, and once was with the glitter sock yarn, which I didn't like at all, and once was this pair of socks for my not yet mother-in-law, I guess. And why I wasn't quite sure about the yarn. I really liked the self-patterning yarn, and I'm just kind of into it. I'm very much into commercial yarns at the moment. I just really like them. So I just kind of went crazy and bought lots of yarn. And I bought this from a German German yarn shop, which I looked it up. I don't think they sell anywhere else. I think they're just in Germany, and like there's no way to translate the page into English. So if you're not in Germany, I would recommend you probably order somewhere else. But if you're in Germany, Fischerwolle, whoops, I shouldn't show you my address. They had a really good deal. I think they just had their 10-year anniversary, so they had 15% off, I believe, and I got free shipping. So I got lots of yarn for not that much money at all. I'm not sure if they have that sale anymore, but I just thought I'd mention it because I really compared the prices, and there were lots of different prices for Opal, and this was the cheapest I could find. And the light has gone kind of dark, so I hope that you can still see what I'm showing you. So I got this skein that I showed you before, which was Imagine Tomorrow's World. And I just got a variety of different ones that looked fun. So this is probably the least crazy one that I got. This one is in their classics thing. And the colorway is 9065, or Anmutig. And this one is just sort of, it has some flecks of red and pink running through, but I just thought this would be fun for like a pattern sock because it doesn't have like a crazy sort of pattern going through it. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see that. Not really. But yeah, this one is pretty subdued, and I think this will be really nice. This might be like, most of these I believe will be for Christmas gifts, but I should really keep one or two for myself as well because obviously I don't have any in my sock drawer. Then this one was one that I saw on Instagram. This kind of prompted the entire order because it looked so fun. This is Opal, let's see, Best Friends, and the colorway is called Verbundenheit, or 8863 for those of you who don't speak German. And this kind of, someone commented that this one looks like a Halloween colorway, and I totally agree. I think it's really, really awesome with the orange and pink, and sort of like they're almost black, but kind of in a greenish black sort of stripes, and I think this is going to be really fun. And all of these are just a 4-ply. I don't really like thicker sock yarn, so all of these are just a standard 4-ply sock yarn from Opal. Next, I got a Sweet and Spicy skein, Sweet and Spicy 3, and the colorway is called Fruchtnougat. Say that 3 times. Which is number 9120 in the Sweet and Spicy number 3. So again, I think this is just going to be super fun. This might be for my middle sister for Christmas. At least that's what I'm thinking right now. I also, well, this one was one that I've been kind of tempted to get for a while. I've seen this one in stores. This is from the Petit Prince colorway, or Kleine Prinz. Is that called Little Prince in English? And this one is called Der kleine Prinz und der Geograph. So for everyone who wanted me to speak German in the podcast, I guess now I'm speaking German. Colorway is 7767, so this is kind of not too crazy, but it just looks really pretty. And again, I think this one is quite popular. I've seen this one knit up quite a few times. So maybe I'll keep this one for myself. I also got this one, which I got a mini from someone, and I really liked it, so I looked it up, and this is in their Klangwelten, which is their music-inspired series, and this one is called Taktstock, which is colorway number 9044. I thought Kai might like this one, but apparently he didn't like any of the ones that I ordered. So again, they're going to be gifts. They might be for me. I'll definitely find a use for these. And then the last one that I got, which this one I'm really interested in. This one is in the series Zusammenhalt. And this one looked like it stripes really, really nicely. Like, or not really stripes, but like it patterns up nicely. And as you can see, the colorway number is 8861. Or it's also in the Best Friends series, and the colorway is called Zusammenhalt. So yeah, I got a lot of Opal, and I'm super, super happy about it. This was kind of my Socktober treat. I got 7 skeins of Opal, and again, did not spend very much money on this at all. So I have no shame, and these will, most of these will be probably for Christmas presents or something like that, because Opal is just super easy to wash and to handle, and yeah, I'm really happy with these. And now let me just get rid of the box. Why is it getting so dark in here? It's just another really dreary sort of day. It's like the middle of the day and it's just dark outside, and we have a tree in front of our window, which doesn't help. So I will just go into the Yarn Festival and life in general today. Just kind of put it all into one section, so this might become a little bit more rambly, but if you're interested in the Yarn Festival and all that, I can only encourage you to stick around. Oh, this tea is so good. So, I mentioned last week that there was a Yarn Festival in Vaterstetten, which is outside of Munich, where we live. And I have been looking forward to this for such a long time. And we went on Saturday. I went with Kai, my boyfriend, and we also met my friend there, which was really, really fun. And I thought it was really fun that my boyfriend tagged along, and I think he didn't even find it too terrible because they had lots of different food stands as well. So he was quite entertained, I think. And the whole thing was partly inside, partly outside, which was a bummer because the weather was just so terrible. It was dark and it was raining and it was super, super freezing. I think we had like 5 degrees or something, and it was just so cold. So, we were walking around with jackets and umbrellas, and that was really a bummer because I think I could have spent the entire day there. It was such a nice sort of venue, and they had lots of animals and sheep shearing and all the outside stalls, but I didn't really spend that much time there because it was just so cold and I wanted to get to the yarn. And in hindsight, I feel like next time I should maybe go when the weather is good, and then if the weather is good, spend like an entire day there because there was just so much to see, and I feel like I really missed a lot of the things. But so we got there, and they had 2 sort of big halls in which they had most of the stalls, and they had quite a bit of yarn, but less than I expected. I think there were also quite a lot of stands that had, felted things or already made items. And the first stall where I bought something was the beauty wool, which I showed you before, for the yarn that my boyfriend got for his hat. And they also had fiber, and I haven't been spinning very much at all, but I would really like to replenish my fiber stash so I can spin more. So when I saw some fiber, I just thought, that just makes sense. So the first thing I got from the same stall, also from Beauty Wool, and this one doesn't have a card, is this little braid of fiber. I think it's so cute. They had like really big ones, and this was one of the tiniest ones. This is 92 grams of 100% BFO. And this just looks really fun. I'm not a huge fan of BFO, as I mentioned before, but I'm thinking about spinning this up really thickly, or maybe chain plying it and just making a cozy hat. I should just have enough for that. And yeah, it's fun, and it's also kind of braided up in this sort of way that I always find really nice. So yeah, I just thought I'd get some fiber. And then we walked to the second big haul, and my friend, she has been telling me about this yarn store for pretty much ever since we met, which was a couple of months ago. And this is called Ätherische Öle und mehr. And I've heard about them before. They have a Davanda presence. And hang on, let me just give you the link. Online shop. Here. I hope you can see that. Although if it would focus, you could see that, right? So they're under Wanda, and I've checked out their store a lot of times, but I've never actually bought anything. And so when we went there, Marion just kind of went insane and bought all this yarn, and I was so overwhelmed because they had 2 huge tables full of sock yarn, and there was the most amazing colors, and you guys know how much I love sock yarn. But I really didn't want to buy too much, and I was having such a hard time choosing. But I said, okay, 1 skein of sock yarn is probably allowed, and I got one that is very unusual from what I usually buy. So I had all the pinks and reds and grays and all of my general normal colors in my hand, but then I decided to go for one that's quite a bit different from what I usually get. So this is the skein that I picked up. I thought it was, very different. This is their standard sock base, 420 meters per 100 grams, and it does not have a colorway name. I'm not sure if they even dye specific colors or if they just kind of dye whatever they want, but because every single skein I saw there was very different, and I really, really like them. So looking back, I should have picked up a lot more because this was super cheap, and they had a high twist sock yarn as well, and yeah, I don't know, but I'm really happy with this one. And again, they had fiber, and more importantly, they had superwash merino and nylon fiber, which I always really like for socks. So I picked up 1 braid of fiber. This is the braid that I picked up. Again, this was quite affordable. This is merino nylon superwash, 70% wool, 30% nylon. And yeah, I thought this is just a really, really nice colorway. So whenever I do get enough energy to spin sock yarn, which takes a long time, I'm really happy to have this in my stash. And then they had a couple of undyed braids, and they were super, super cheap. So I picked up a fiber that I haven't tried before. This one is Chubut Wolle, and they said it's kind of like a South American merino. It is super, super soft. It's so soft that in the beginning I was kind of wondering if maybe this is sort of like a plant-based or like a synthetic fiber. But yeah, it's just this white undyed, and I will probably use this to make Rolex. So I think with my blending board I can just blend some other colors in with it, or I can spin it as it is. It is crazy soft. It is softer than the merino nylon, which says a lot. So yeah, I'm super, super happy with this, and I'll definitely find a use for this at some point. And that's it for my acquisitions from the Fiber Festival. So I think I've managed to restrain myself quite a bit, which I've really felt bad about after. We walked around a lot, and I touched a lot of things, and in the end, I just couldn't really decide. I had a really hard time shopping at a festival. I think it must be like a sort of like a type thing. Like I just get really, really overwhelmed when there's so many things. And when I only went to 1 festival before, which was not really focused on yarn. That was a handmade festival that had like lots of patchwork fabrics and all that, and a little bit of yarn. And with that one, I actually went with my sister, and I saw everything twice. So we spent hours and hours there and looked at everything, and then went around a second time to buy things, and I think that helped me a lot. Whereas this time I felt like I was buying all this stuff and I was completely overwhelmed, but then later I realized I didn't really buy that much, and which is good, but I also left a few things there that I would have really, really wanted. For example, they had spinning fiber, and they had these bags of like 400 and something grams of German wool for super, super cheap, and somehow I just didn't get it, which is so stupid. I could have spun for a sweater and knit a sweater for like $10, and I didn't get it, and stuff like that. Like I feel like I'm good at getting stuff for other people, and I was really good at finding things that Kai would like, but I just left a few things there that I wish I didn't, because they had so many nice things. So yeah, that was my yarn festival experience. Like I said, I really, really liked it. I will put some photos in the end, but I didn't take very many. But at the same time, it was very stressful for me, and yeah, I don't know. I think I'm just the sort of person who buys a lot of stuff either in stores, and there again, I obsess over things a lot. But I mean, in stores, usually you have a bit less things to look at. And I often buy things online, and I rethink things and I put them into my cart and then I think about it again. And obviously at a yarn festival you can't do that. But it was good fun. I will definitely go again next year, and maybe the weather will be better. So yeah, that's my yarn festival experience. So now the doorbell rang, and this just has to be the podcast with the most interruptions ever. So besides the yarn festival, like I said, the weather has been super, super cold and wintry, and I've just kind of been hit by the weirdest cold that just doesn't go away. So I've had days where I felt really, really sick, and then I've been fine again, and it's going back and forth. It's just really getting on my nerves. But I'm not seriously sick or anything. It's just really annoying. On the weekend, I also sent out my first 2 job applications, which was very exciting and also very scary. One of them is what I would consider my dream job. That would be just perfect, and I really, really, really want to get it. And I know that the chances of getting the first job that I'd really like are not very high, but then again, it's like, well, why not? So I have high hopes for that one. The other one that I applied to, I think, would also be great. I do want to send out a couple more, but then probably there's no point in me sending out applications right before we go on holiday. And I think we're already leaving in 3 weeks. So the goal for this week is to maybe get out 1 or 2 more, and then I probably just leave it as it is. I have a lot of things on the back burner, which I think if they'll probably still be there in 2 months, and sort of like things that I might like to do, but I'm not 100% sure. I'll probably just apply whenever we get back from our holidays. But yeah, it felt really, really good for myself to get 2 blah, 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 job applications out, because I kind of fell into this hole of being finished and everyone asking, what are you doing next? And I didn't really know. And to know that at least some things I'm moving forward now just gives me sort of a better feeling about myself. And yeah, so I did that on the weekend. Thank God my boyfriend is really good with that sort of stuff, so he helped me a lot. Um, oh, and I just see a ladybug crawling up my wall. Well, that's interesting. Um, on Sunday, we met up with a good friend in a cafe, and it was just super lovely. We're actually meeting him in Thailand, which is going to be fun. And besides that, what else happened? I don't know, I've been really busy with social stuff, which is good. But I expected to be super bored out of my mind as soon as I finish this thesis, but I've been meeting up with friends, and I had a lovely knitting afternoon yesterday, and I actually haven't been sitting home as much as I thought I would, which is good. So, yeah, now another thing that I wanted to talk about, I think Grace asked quite a while ago that she'd be really, really interested in what I'm reading. And she said that I probably wouldn't read a whole lot when I'm doing my thesis, but I thought now would be the perfect time to answer that, because I've been reading so much ever since finishing the thesis. It's just been really, really fun. I've always loved reading as a child and as a young adult. Oh, well, teenager, I guess. Um, I've always read a lot, and I read everything and anything that you put in front of me, and I was the sort of person who read like 3 books at once. And I remember as a child, every Saturday we'd go to the library, and I would be allowed to lend or loan 13 books. So I would always travel with 13 books. And yeah, I always loved reading. So now that I'm, like Grace assumed, while writing my thesis, or actually throughout most of my studies, I didn't read very much unless I was on holiday, because when I'm reading for work or for uni and writing and stuff, I just really didn't have the power to read anymore. But now I'm just reading all the time. I'm reading in bed. I've also haven't been sleeping very well at all, so I've been reading for hours at night, or like in the middle of the night. And I read a lot of different books. Like I said, I kind of like anything from young adult to crime to like funny books to. Well, I used to read a lot of historical novels when I was younger. I think for me it's more about things being well written than what it is about. If I like the style of a writer, I will read it all. So in the beginning of the year, I reread all of the Harry Potter books because I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. And to get those, in English and not spend a ton of money, I got the Kindle Unlimited. I think it's what it's called. It's basically like a Kindle library where you're allowed to take out 10 books at once. So because I had that for the Harry Potter, I kept on reading from their list of books that you could get with that sort of subscription. And a lot of the books that they had were self-published books, so I read quite a lot of those, but at some point I got a little bit sick of that. And I did actually cancel my Kindle Unlimited now because I'd rather pay for 3 books a month that I really, really want to read than have like 5 or 6, but some of them I don't really like. But one of the first things I did last week when I kind of had the time and everything was settling down was I love the author Nelson DeMille, who is sort of like a crime NYPD CIA sort of author, and he's completely different to anything else I like to read. Actually, an ex-boyfriend of mine got me into him, and like I usually don't really like that sort of thing, but I absolutely love him. He has a couple of books based on this character called John Corey, and he just cracks me up. It is absolutely hilarious. I think he probably either hate or love the style of these books, but I found a sort of like a combination of 3 books that was published as one. So now I have this huge book on my Kindle or on my phone, and I've just been reading it nonstop. The one I'm reading at the moment is called Plum Island, and it cracks me up. I'm actually rereading all of these. I've read all of these before, but it just cracks me up. I've also been reading a German sort of travel novel, which wasn't that fantastic. It was interesting, but not super great. And I think it's only been published in German. It's called Journeyman, and it's by Fabian Sixtus-Körner, I believe. And that was fun, but not something I would necessarily recommend. My boyfriend loves Stephen King, and he has a whole collection, and I've only ever read one Stephen King novel and kind of liked it, but I don't really like his style. But I'm thinking maybe I'll get back into that. And then I have all these books in my bookcase that I started and didn't finish because like I said, I never have the time. And even with books that I really, really like, if I feel like I can't spend as much time with them as I'd like to, I'd rather stop than read like 3 pages every 2 weeks because that just frustrates me too much. So I have quite a few books in my bookcase that I haven't read, and I have quite a few books that I want to reread, including the Rosie Project. I think the author's name was something Green, but I'm actually not 100% sure. I will link all of this in the show notes. There's the Rosie Project, and he also wrote a second one, and it is a hilarious book. I think it's hilarious when you're studying psychology as well because the main character has Asperger's, but it is not a serious book at all, and it's just hilarious, and I'd love to reread that again because I remember that I really, really liked it last year. And I probably share more specific books at other times, but because I'm reading 60 or 70% of what I'm reading is books on my phone, obviously I can't show them to you very easily because I'm recording on my phone. I am a real fan of actual paper books, but first of all, I think that would be a little bit expensive with the amount of books that I like to read. And secondly, Kai hates it when I have the light on at night. He actually also hates it when I read on my phone, but that's a little bit better. And so I've been reading a lot on my phone with the Kindle app, and that's super, super useful because a lot of times I find myself in places where I wouldn't take a book. I'm not the sort of person who takes a book with me, but when I have my phone, if it's on the train, on the tram, on the underground, at a doctor's appointment, every single time I have my phone with me all the time, so I can just read on my phone, so I find that quite handy as well. Oh, another book that I should mention is The Cursed Child, the new Harry Potter. I have still not finished it. I completely did not like it, and I won't spoil anything, but I just didn't like it. I felt like all the lovely details and the magical world that J.K. Rowling usually creates in her book was completely missing, not because of bad writing, but just because obviously it's a play and not a book. So the style is just very different, so I didn't like it. I actually wasn't planning on reading it at all because I absolutely love the Harry Potter series, and I just thought whatever would come would ruin it. But then my sister had it, so I lent it from her. But like I said, I'm still stuck on I think I've read like a third of the book, and then I just stopped, and it just hasn't really interested me, and I really don't want to ruin my Harry Potter experience. So again, I'm not sure if I'm going to finish it or not. But yeah, so that's some of what I'm reading. Probably not interesting to you guys at all, but maybe someone found it interesting. And anyways, it's my podcast, so I can talk whatever I want to, right? With that ramble about books, I think I have nothing super interesting to share. Just a few organizational things. Next week I might not be here at all. I still haven't completely figured out what I'm doing, but most likely the podcast will be a little bit delayed. So I might either record on Friday when I get back, or I'm not really sure what I'm doing, to be honest. So I'm not sure what I'm doing, but if you're subscribed, you'll get a notification whenever I post something. So yeah, and then obviously I think after that it's only a week until we go away. So podcast might be a little bit all over the place, but I'm planning to get at least 2 more episodes out before we go. Maybe 3, we'll see. So just follow me, subscribe, or maybe follow me on Instagram, and I will always let you know. So I will end with a couple of photos from the Fiber Festival, and thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Happy knitting. Thank you so much. See you. Bye.